the Historic Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting. Ms. Bellinger, roll call please.
Director Williams.
Present.
Director Greathouse. Present. Director Matt.
Here.
Director Jordan.
Here.
Director Randolph.
Here.
Vice Chair Thomas. Here. Chair Pritt.
Present. We have our quorum. We can now stand for a moment of silence and the pledge of allegiance. And the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are now ready for citizen participation.
First citizen participant is Mr. Ryan Novak, and he has 5 minutes.
Someone must be able to. Ms. Bellinger, would you clarify that there was,
Ryan was yielded.
Thank you.
Another estimate.
Thank you. Mr. Novak, good evening. No.
Good evening, Chair, President of the community. Like, you guys got to take off your head. I got to take mine off as well and address it correctly. Tonight I have 3 questions concerning financial oversight and the long-term sustainability of the CRA. So it was serendipitous that you guys talked about fiduciary responsibility during the workshop, because that hits right at the vein of what I want to address tonight. So first, tonight's packet is going to ask you, the board, to approve CRA's March, April, and May financial reports in a single meeting. As of the packet's release, at least to the public, the actual financial reports were not included. And based upon prior meetings, the board, you guys probably just got them the day of, maybe just right before you got into this meeting, or right as you sat down, right before you were going to vote on those financials tonight. The resolutions state that the board is reviewing and approving these reports in its fiduciary capacity over the CRA trust fund. But receiving 3 months of financial activities moments before a vote does not really provide a meaningful opportunity for review. It turns oversight into just an exercise. Will you guys on the board require that monthly financial reports be included in the publicly released packets with enough lead time for both you and the citizens to review and participate meaningfully in public comment on those financial reviews? And are you comfortable certifying that it has met its fiduciary duty when the supporting documents arrive just moments before you guys vote? Second question, I want to raise the CRA's financial sustainability. This year's approved budget shows the town's TIF contribution to the CRA as $230,250. The CRA's budgeted salaries and benefits, $231,991. Those figures are about $1,700 different from one another. The town is approved to extend the CRA, but Orange County has not yet acted on participating in that extension. So if the county does not participate, the town's TIF contributions alone would essentially be consumed by CRA payroll, leaving little or nothing for the redevelopment projects the CRA exists to perform, relying, I guess, solely on grants or loans to do anything. And if you're not taking in grants, then we're waiting around for that to do projects as a CRA. Has the staff prepared a financial model showing what the CRA's budget will look like without continued county participation? If the town's TIF alone cannot support both payroll and redevelopment activity, what is the plan? Finally, I would like clarification on the engagement of David Smith. The signed independent contractor agreement states that Mr. Smith is not an employee. The executive director has described the agreement or the arrangement on the record as a 1099 employee relationship. Those are not the same classification. 1099 is how the IRS treats an independent contractor. A W-2 is how it treats an employee. That distinction is not just semantic. Contractor agreements above certain dollar thresholds are subject to the CRA's purchasing policy, which requires quotes of formal competitive selections. Employee compensation is not subject to that process. The board's own minutes from October 22nd, 2025 document a decision to bypass the RFP process for this engagement. So I would ask, is Mr. Smith an independent contractor under his signed agreement, or an employee the executive director has described him as? And to classifying this engagement as an employee relationship rather than a contract factor into the decision to bypass the RFP process. Residents and board members should not have to guess which rules govern how public funds are being spent, or why a competitive process was set aside for a specific purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Novak. Do we have any other participants?
Yes, next we have Miss Michelle Flores.
Well, we love being up here. We're concerned people. That's what we should do. Happy birthday, everyone, and I'm back again. Because that's what democracy is people coming together. And we voice our opinions. And so that we can get the work done that the community needs. Which that is my reason for tonight. So talking with my mom, my aunts, neighbors, Miss Davis, the McKnights were looking, and everyone's like, we've come to the CRA to help with beautification, right? House, get it painted, some minor repairs on steps. I got a neighbor 2 streets over, and they come to the CRA, and they're basically being told to go to Orange County. So what I'm coming here for is because July 2025, the money from the plant, paint, and pave program was taken out and changed over to this code enforcement plan program. So what I'm asking the board tonight is this: help your residents out. Reinstate the plan, add it onto this code enforcement based on the budget line, and I could be wrong, but the director can give you that information. There has been no applications this year. So I got 10 people that have paid their taxes for a year and not been able to utilize the program. So as I said, my ask tonight is, can you move on that tonight? Because you have people that are struggling out there. I don't know about you, but paying $5 a gallon is not nice. And when gas and groceries are high, and we live in Florida, so electric bills run $300-400 in the summer. So what can we do to help people that live here, pay their taxes, and their home should be looking beautiful? Because isn't that fighting life? So that's my estimate. And we will email you the applications once you guys say yes tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ford. Ms. Bellinger, do we have any additional participants?
Yes, the last one we have is Miss Joyce Harvey.
Good evening, everyone. Citizens, everybody, and doctor. I said that compliment. I wanted to address something that happened last week. First, I wanted to thank Ms. Grayhouse for their passion in the last meeting. I wanted to suggest that it may have been a little misdirected, because as much as I don't want to defend Attorney Jackson, he had nothing to do with what you were upset about. I did notice it seemed that you and Councilwoman Ware had a question about why the thing was changed and not kept like it was. I'm the person who says the quiet part out loud. So in my opinion, it was to have a monopoly on who could bill and cut certain people out. But I also noticed that it was suggested that he didn't have to answer the question, or that maybe you couldn't ask the question. I was confused, but I did notice that he never answered you as to why it was changed. And I think that you should demand the respect of people who are supposed to have oversight even though I heard him say, I mean, he's basically independent, not overseen by anyone, but in fact, he is overseen by this board. And me and other citizens would appreciate it if you demand responsibility and excellence and accountability. That's all. For all of us, for all of you, all of us, accountability. That's it. And then
Thank you, Ms. Everett.
There are no further citizens.
Oh, right. Comment before we move forward?
Yes, there is a resolution that I had that walk on for board's decision.
We are at consent agenda. So when we get to board discussion, I'm gonna interject here. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Vice Chair. Finding my words, bear with me. The construction of the agenda is the responsibility of staff. And I've heard a number of board members that have requested that we limit the walk-on items for the purpose of giving the entire board an opportunity to review things that we will be asked to make a decision on. In the event, and you have every authority to pull a motion from the floor, but let's be very clear, you do have that authority as directors. My ask to this board would be that if you have something that is immediately necessary, that in addition to asking for a board decision, you allow it to go at board discussion. I do not want to impede upon your ability to bring things to this board for discussion or for decision. I would just ask that for the sake of being responsible voting members, that we give ourselves enough time to digest information that's placed in front of us, especially if it is given at the dais. I've heard a number of you say that before. I think it's a fair ask. So Vice Chair, I accept your resolution and I would ask that we add that to board decision and then discussion and then decision. Do you have any opposition to that? Do we have any legal input?
I've already spoken to yourself, Executive Director, that's.
That's okay with you? Okay. All right, so we do not have to approve the agenda. We do have to approve the consent agenda. So let us be mindful that the resolution that has been placed at the dais will be inserted as board discussion as well as board decision.
Can we move 1, 2, and 3? The financials.
Let me put the motion.
Okay, sorry.
We are ready for the approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Good. It's been moved in second with questions.
Questions to move 1, 2, and 3.
Moving items 1, 2, and 3 to
Discussion, or you can make a discussion decision after. I just have quite a few questions to ask about.
all right. So we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda along with along with moving items 1, 2, and 3 to board discussion and then decisions. All in favor, please signify with aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, we have an approved consent agenda of items 4, 5, and 6. That would include, I'm sorry, I meant to inform you all that they should have been at the dais and you also received them in your email. The meeting minutes for May 21st, June 8th, and June 18th. Please let the record reflect that those minutes have been provided to the board and have been approved. We are now ready for board discussion. Would you like to start with items 1, 2, and 3, or would you like to start with the rest?
We can start with 1, 2, and 3 if everyone's in agreement with.
Is there any opposition? So the request for the consent agenda approval was to move items 1, 2, and 3 down to board discussion and decision. prior to that request, we had agreed to move the resolution to discussion and decision. So the question was, do we want to do the resolution discussion first and then items 1, 2, and 3, or do we want to do 1, 2, and 3 and then move to the resolution?
Just it don't matter, but we can start with the resolution.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
All right, we will start board discussion with the presentation of tonight's resolution.
So
Okay, Vice Chair. I was gonna ask who brought it, Vice Chair.
I
If you would
brought
like to
this
spearhead this, go right ahead.
So I had a few questions and I worked with the attorney worked with me so that we could get this together. But it was in regards to, I don't remember the auditor's name, the young lady Heather that got up and spoke and stated that, you know, all of the funds is in one great big account and it needs to be broke down. So we don't have any idea what it's gonna cost to build one house, two houses. We don't have anything at all. And really and truly, that is something that we should have been given is an itemized budget of each one of these projects. And that would also include, you know, I do see that there's a possibility that we're getting an advancement from and if we get this advancement, we still haven't gotten an itemization as what we're going to do with those advancements. So that is what this resolution is about for the executive director to give us a breakdown on once you get that advancement, what is that money going to be used for? And I prefer that it be spent if we're building 6 homes and we're going to, you know, touch this $1.7 million. We need an itemization, a breakdown of how you're going to use this money. So that is what this resolution is about.
I understand your concern, but I know we was talking about putting the RFP out on the street.
Did it get put out?
I don't know. I know we were talking about putting the RFP on the street. If we're giving, I feel like if we're giving information concerning each individual project, it may end up in the wrong hands. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? So I don't think you should give us no information until the RFP is complete. If that's what we're doing, I don't know.
Madam Chair and Board, I do want to report that I received an email from CAO Dames, and he advised me that there were some questions related to the RFP, and it has not gone out yet. And so that was an email that he sent to me. And thank you, Board Member Watson, for reminding me that he did want me to advise this board that the RFP has not gone out.
What happened?
He said there were some questions too.
All these questions. So, if that's what we've been dealing with for so long, you know what I'm saying?
Well, before everybody gets upset, there was errors in some of the plans and they had to be resealed.
So why are we just not knowing this thing?
Well, I purchased it as
Just like someone stated before, we're known on the cuff of a meeting, which is atrocious. You know what I'm saying? These are the type of behaviors that got to change and stop because it's problematic.
well, procurement cannot put out a flawed document. And
I know, but why are we just now aware of this?
we
Was
were
it an email sent out? Was it any indication that, hey, listen, the reason we haven't, and we're entrusting staff to do what they're supposed to do, we're sending these, you know what I'm saying, particular things out, and it's not happening. And now, in the midst of a meeting, now we know. These are the things that are happening. Now we know. And that's a problem for me. You know, not knowing is ignorant. And I don't want to seem ignorant up here, especially with someone possibly coming and asking me questions concerning anything having to do with the RFP or whatever it is that we may be dealing with. But now someone on the town side saying that it hasn't been done. That's incompetence. That's very incompetent to me. My opinion.
I think we should yield to the executive director. He is the
Ridiculous.
administrative
Ridiculous.
responsible party for collaborating with the finance department.
So, okay.
It's just back to the same thing.
I understand. Before we move forward, Director Johnson, would you like to speak on the concerns of the board?
Yes, when the original RFP went out, there was questions from the contractors that pointed out several errors that was in the plans. That's not a procurement control, that's not in my control. We had to go back to the guy who did the plans to fix those errors because we cannot advertise something that is inaccurate.
With the
And-
same RFP that we requested to go out, this time you're saying that there was a mistake.
No.
Remember, because remember,
We didn't see the.
remember, we're supposed to be sending the RFP out the exact same way that it went out initially.
That's why I want to say before y'all get yourselves upset, understand something.
No.
Understand something. You cannot send out a document.
The same RFP.
And I'm telling you because there was no questions brought to our attention before, but there were some errors in the same RFP that needed to be corrected legally. There's no way around that. And I don't control that, nor does procurement control that. The guy who sealed the plans has to fix it. He has to fix that. That's something I cannot fix. Because that is the architect and engineer who has to fix those concerns. That was brought to our attention by a question from 2 contractors that were interested in responding to the RFP. So, and it was an oversight on my part because I look at numbers and I look at square footages. I don't question what the sealed plan said, but there were some errors and he has fixed it.
But when did you know?
After the procurement brought it to my attention.
When though?
I have to go back and look at her email.
But you understand what I'm saying? 'Cause
It was after our
it's
meeting,
been-
but this was after our meeting.
I understand, but I got a lot of emails from you. I have several emails that you sent out. But you did not send out that email regarding the RFP, not when I was.
Whose responsibility? I'm not procurement.
But you oversee of the project.
Okay, you have to allow procurement an opportunity to fix the problem.
But you're talking about transparency and lack of communication.
I'm trying to figure where's procurement in the procurement policy. The
But-
communication has to be with the board.
But executive director, a simple one line. All right, just FYI. There were some mistakes that were discovered by contractors in the original RFP.
And
It will not be going out,
I agree with you.
and that's it, that's
But
it.
not for me. That's a procurement process. That's not me.
Why would you not just communicate that to us? Now we sit here today, again, wasting time, going backwards and not forward and turning dirt. You understand? Which is not anything to do with us, right? And see, that's the whole thing. A lot of times you sit here and you tell us it's our fault that we're not going forward.
But I have to give procurement a chance to cure the problem.
I'm not saying that, but my point is, in the future, if something happens, please let us know. Hey, guys, listen, the RP is not going out right now. We ran into an issue.
I agree.
So I'm not sitting up here thinking I'm all excited, knowing that, this thing is moving forward. So in other words, it hasn't gone anywhere.
Well, first of all, I agree with you about informing, but understand, just like the RFP that we're dealing with the county, a whole list of stuff came from the county today. Let me just.
Just information. I'm not trying to get all into the weeds with this. A simple communication is all I'm asking because it is a form of disrespect. Because I continue.
Nobody's going to.
4 months ago.
Yes, sir.
So the email that came in with that information came in on the 15th.
Okay.
And I don't see that Mr. Johnson was on that email.
No.
And so he may not have, was it yesterday that you got it?
It went to Ms. Gibson and I only
Yeah, so
responded.
I was on that email. Yeah, I was on that email to advise the board from CAO Daniels, but I don't see where Mr. Johnson was included on that email.
Well, Attorney Jackson did, with all due respect, sir. Right? I mean, I just feel like we should have known, because it's my issue. I'm saying me. It's my issue.
I agree.
It's my issue. Please. Please. I mean, I think that I deserve respect. Right? It's my issue and it's my concern, whoever I'm talking to at this point, right? Come on, y'all. Let's do better business. We just talked about this. Let's do better business, above board, transparency.
I should have.
We got you.
I should have directed, I can't direct, I should
And,
have asked.
and we just sat here,
Finance director
we
to-
just sat here.
That should have been a
and
request
we, and
that
we
was.
talked about these evaluations. You understand? So when we get up here and we start doing this thing 6 months, 12 months, all right, be mindful. Be mindful of this stuff because it does matter.
This goes back to the interlocal agreement situation. Okay, prime example, interlocal agreement coming from the town side, reference to the CRA, because it works hand in hand, right? It's a great separation, man. I don't care what nobody says. It's a great separation with CRA and the town. And it's gonna continue being a conflict if we continue going down this path. We just went over bylaws. If we continue having these interlocal agreements that's mixed with the town and the CRA, you can have a town without a CRA, but you can't have a CRA without a town. We understand that. We understand the independent part of it too, but we're gonna keep referencing ourselves to having these same old, man. And I don't want to continue going down this path, man. And it's just we're going down a path of nowhere, man. We're in the fast lane going nowhere. You understand me? And I don't want to continue doing that.
It's just
Not as a board, not as a director. That's why I said independent. That way, keep me out of that. Keep me out of it. Let somebody else sit up here and deal with it that's not gonna show any biasness as an elected official, right? Because I'm an elected official. There's 5 of us that sit up here and 2 that are added on, right? I think if you do it that way as an independent board, you don't have to worry about stuff like this. That's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Because we're gonna continue going down this rabbit hole of this person did this did this one didn't do this, the asterisk one right, whatever. We're not getting anything accomplished. And that's all I got right now. But we're not getting.
Before you go, Ms. Greathouse, I want to yield to Director Randolph. I saw her hand. And before you start, Director Randolph, I want to remind us that that is not what is in front of us specifically right now. So I want to give space for your comments, but I want to remind us that the topic of the resolution should still be discussed as well. But please, Director Randolph and then Director Greathouse.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I believe the last time that we met on this particular issue concerning what is being addressed, the errors were identified. And if I'm not mistaken, when we looked at the RFP copy that was provided to us, there were errors on there and they were identified. And then when I understood when we left that meeting, this was going to be corrected by the procurement. That's what I got out of that meeting, the last meeting that we had called a special meeting. Because Ms. Dina had called the meeting for a special meeting. So all of that should have been corrected. Now here we are 2 weeks later coming back and it still has not been corrected.
There wasn't a problem with the recommendation to make the corrections. The problems with the plans. So when you handed something to somebody to bid on and it's inaccurate information, it's not sealed and signed by me or nobody in this town, signed and sealed by somebody else, you have to make those corrections.
So you're saying that the plans
had a flaw in them, and that was the problem. So I understand Director Jordan's saying, why won't we inform? And I'll work with procurement to make sure you stay informed. But once I found out, I had to go back to the architect and engineer.
It was 2 days.
To say, hey, look, here go a problem. I'll show you the emails. I'll show you the emails to them. Here's the problem. You gotta fix it. Now, the only reason the plans did not get corrected in a orderly fashion is because the engineer who sealed the plans was out of town. And other than that, he would have got them turned around the same day, but he couldn't. And he just got back on Wednesday. So I put a phone call. Ms. Gibson said, can you call him and find out where we are with that? He says, I've gotten everything over to him. I'm just waiting on him to seal them to get back. And believe it or not, it was just on one set of plans, 121 Southwest Street plans were off. And they had to be corrected. Plus Terra had made some recommendations that had to be addressed. And I had to get to address that. So, and that was, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a plan designer or any of that. I missed it. I'm pretty sure everybody who looked at it missed it because I didn't see it until a contractor brought it to our. So please forgive me for not forwarding that concern and
Just
that
let me know.
situation.
Just let me know, because I'm anxious to move forward with some of these projects.
I agree.
You understand what I'm saying? So I was actually expecting to hear something a little different today in terms of that RFP. But it's baffling how you send out the same RFP and then things are discovered, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you.
Director Greathouse.
My concern is this RFP been sent out 3 times. And twice. And if we're gonna be professional about what we do, can we just send it, make sure the engineer view it and everybody view it before we actually send it out? Because of the fact that I just don't see how we keep on missing it. I understand what you're saying.
It's a separation.
It's a separation. I understand what you're saying.
That has nothing to do with plans. The plans are flawed.
I understand you saying the plans, but it's all in the package though. It's all in the package. So if we can everybody just view the plan before anybody sends it out. And then it won't look like we incompetent where outsiders have to tell us, oh, you made a mistake. You shouldn't have to know, an outsider should not have to tell us we made a mistake when we can catch our own mistake.
Director Johnson, can you clarify whether or not, I know you're saying that the engineer for one of the bidders, I'm assuming, caught that?
Caught it on the one we canceled.
So those plans, when prepared, do they come back before you?
Sign the seal plans. Once they're sealed by the engineer, they get to me.
Go straight to procurement.
Go to the process, right?
Okay. So just to Director Greathouse's point about being proactive, is there a process by which, because we're not engineers, so is there somebody on staff, either for the Toecra or the town, that would have the capability of seeing that stuff before it went out? I know stuff like dates and additionals that we have control over. I know you see that, but is there a process by which we see? Is there any additional proactivity that we can do?
So only when you enter into the permitting process, and that goes
after the bid.
Well, yeah, if there's issues, that's the only time you do. Other than that, when the engineer seals the plans saying this is official document, I can't
change that.
So the only person who can change that is the engineer and the designer who can change it. So he would have signed it and it would have went out on time, but he was out of town. So we can't control people's schedules. So he did not reseal it. And I've been asking since Wednesday for that because he came back in town on Wednesday and they have not provided. And just so you can know, when you say the house is 1,600 and total 2,200 square feet, but it's not. It's only 1,300, and you have to fix that because now we're asking bidders to bid on something that is inaccurate. So we have to get it right before it goes out. And I'm sorry it's the delay, and I'm sorry the lack of communication happened, but the issue was out of all of our control because we're not engineers and we don't seal plans.
Okay, board. So we can get back on topic. We were discussing the line of credit. Director Williams, I heard your comments about your concerns about detailing these capital improvement projects.
I think that the auditor had stated that, you have to give itemization on these capital improvement project, and I know I heard Paula say that, well, we're tracking it. So what are you tracking if you don't have any numbers that you've given us?
If you look at your CIP, it breaks down every dollar that has been spent on what purpose and everything. And I provided that to the board, I think either not early this week or last week, when you got it. It's been there. If you look at it, and it breaks it down by address: 119, 121, 280, 300.
So when did you send that out?
Last week, if not last week, it had to be Monday.
I believe it was Friday.
It was Friday, because I always send it to them.
So what you sent was an actual breakdown of
Of
what
what?
is gonna be spent on each project, or it's just one great big group? Cause she said it can't be grouped together.
So
It has to be broken down.
So we don't know those, like you're doing an RFP now. When the
Mhm.
bidders bid,
Mhm.
they have to do exactly what you're talking about, right? When the bidders bid,
Okay.
okay? So, and you'll get a complete, because that's required for the RFP. And it's requiring listing a whole bunch of stuff they have to do,
I know.
right? So that information you're seeking will come as you see the bids. And once whoever you choose, you're gonna have all that information right there in front of you. Everything you're making reference to is gonna be right in front of you.
So I'll have their information.
Well,
But what if you don't have any numbers that say, oh, well, this is what we're gonna bid to compare to what they give you and say, because I think you did at one time say, well, this is gonna cost too much. How you know it's gonna be cost too much if you haven't broken it down?
because we went through this process back in 2025. I'm just being honest with you.
I understand.
And we went through that process in 2025, and just based upon the numbers that we received then, that's why the board made the decision to go the route that allowed me to do what I did with Mr. Smith, because those numbers were so out of pocket. We would not make a quarter to do nothing we say we're supposed to be doing.
But I still think that the auditor said that you have to break it down. So when do you plan on doing that?
That's done as a CIP process.
Well, where's it at?
You have CIP.
And I would like to add that there is note in that email from,
What date was that?
it was July 10th at 11:45 is when I received it. I believe it didn't go out as a mass. The records coordinator sent that out, so I'm assuming we were either blind copied or individually sent those
Right.
messages.
You're blind copied by me, but she sends it out officially from the.
Right, and it is highlighted that this is a confidential document for board member only and audit purposes only, and not to be shared with the public. So I'm assuming that we
I do
received that
remember. I
instruction.
do remember.
Right.
Okay.
But that's fine, that we're not sharing it with the public, but it's still something that has to be done. By law, you have to do that. So do you plan on breaking it down, or are we just gonna continue to, you gonna give us an estimate? And then as far as this advancement, you haven't given us anything to say, well, this is what we're gonna use this 1.7 million from, other than stating that whatever the profit is, and you're assuming that it may be 100,000 plus, you're gonna take that money, and instead of trying to pay back what we've done, you're gonna take it and put it towards the purchase of that center.
So let's be clear, and the chair can confirm this right or wrong. In 2025, those decisions were already made. Those conversations are, only thing we're doing in 26 now is moving from a project management structure to an RFP contract. Also, keep in mind, you have a term sheet that is a confidential document until after we close. You can't discuss anything that the bank relied
Okay.
on without their permission.
Okay, so my question too is, if we do purchase contract with qualified buyers, we don't have to use any of that money from that line of credit. Isn't that correct?
No, I'm sorry.
If you have you will only use a certain amount because you have to build, but if you have it, instead of waiting till the house is built And I think they gave us a time limit on when the house has to be sold. Otherwise we will be penalized. So if
24 months.
no, I ain't talking about the time that we have to pay the money back.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about for the individual homes closing. They gave us, I don't know, was it 30, 60 days? And if not,
That was to close on the line of credit,
Right.
not the homes
And
themselves.
to start,
They don't dictate how long it takes us.
they're not trying to dictate that.
They weren't dictating how long it takes us to sell the homes. They were dictating how long it takes for the closing process.
okay.
If
but
I understand your
still-
question correctly.
Probably. But I still think that we need an itemized budget of what's gonna be done. Whether you give it to us later after you do whatever here, but that is something that this board need before we can say, Mr. Johnson, go ahead and do this. We need you to bring it to us for us to approve it so that we can look at these numbers as well.
The CIP document that you have for you, truthfully, is an auditing document.
Is what?
An auditing document. I shared it with the board because you requested it. You wanted to see it, but that's an internal operation document that we're tracking every expenditure on, not just for the housing project, for every project that's going on. So when you look at it, probably see tabs that pull up each tab and each address, and you'll see a breakdown of everything possible. We've examined every invoice out there to make sure it was already accounted for. So you can have a idea, being transparent, where we at on each project, right? Where we at it and what has been spent. And if you look at that, I'm pretty sure Ms. Bradshaw told you the vendors and the detail that supported it, right? So you can understand how this process is going. Now, when you go through the RFP process, if you're looking for what it's gonna cost me to build a house, that's gonna come from the contract. That ain't gonna come from us. That's gonna come from the contract. So we need to make sure we understand where the information comes from. It's not something that it's gonna come from me because I'm not building no house. I can't, right, if you ask me how much it costs to build a house right now, I can give you my educated guess, but that doesn't mean what I'm saying is correct. Okay? But the contractor has to provide that information to you. So everything's transparent and there ain't no room for, oh, I wanna do what do you call it, change order, that increases the price on you. Because when the contractor's selected and he signs his contract with you, he's gonna be locked in to whatever number that y'all locked him into, and to whatever that draw schedule says. And that draw schedule, his performance is gonna receive both town inspections and bank inspections.
So then this $1.7 million is for what?
It's to cover the cost to do the development.
Okay, so then you can give us a breakdown of it.
I'm gonna share it with you one more time. There are certain documents that the bank has that is confidential, and you have that.
So I'll come to your office.
I'll
and
be
you
more
can-
glad. I'll be more glad.
Okay, so then stay after 4 o'clock, cause sometimes I come to your office and you see I'm here and you'll walk out and you'll leave, so.
Well, you don't say that to me, so I'm.
Oh, yes, I have. Yes, I have. And you just walk right past me, but it doesn't matter. We won't go through that. I'm gonna go.
Nobody like that.
I'm gonna just say now.
Send an email requesting to meet.
I'm not gonna send it. I've done it many times and I've sent questions and I don't even get a response back to them. So I'll call you and I'll let you know when I'll be there. Thank you.
I'm gonna say
And
this.
then clear your voicemail, cause it's.
My voice don't know. I just clicked it.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna say this. From a business perspective, the original plan we had set forward would allow us to make money.
Change it.
Now we're changing that to a contractor standpoint, big, RFP. Now you're gonna lose money, might not even make a quarter. So what are we up here for?
So where did the board gave approval for that?
Everything that's gone on, the board gave approval.
So now we wanna put an RFP to a contractor. No one's gonna come back inflated. We're not gonna make money like I think we can, going the other way. But in fact, I know we can, going the other way. So
it's, what we're doing right now to me don't make any sense. It doesn't. From a business perspective, it don't make any sense at all. Cause if you all were building a home and the contractor told you all, just pay me 25,000, everything at my cost. And it shows you everything. Just pay me 25. Make a whole lot better.
Everybody's
That make,
entitled
that
to
make,
their
that make,
opinion.
make a lot more sense to me versus whatever the cost per square footage is inflated by a contractor, cause they make money.
That does sound good in theory, y'all, let's be honest. Cause we know oftentimes the lowest bidder doesn't mean that you're gonna get the best quality work. We do know that to be a fact. Okay, and
But you're bound by law to
You
get.
go with the lowest responsibility.
yeah,
Bound by law.
You got.
you bound by law to
By the
go.
Competitive Negotiation Act, and Attorney correct,
He's
you're
correct.
bound by law to do it.
To go with the lowest bidder.
The
Yes.
lowest responsibility, yes.
If they
Say
make
that one more time.
if the lowest
The
bidder
lowest responsibility.
The lowest responsible
Bidder.
bidder.
if he meets all of the qualifications of the RFP,
They get
you are bound by law to award it to him. And if you don't, you have to have a legal reason. You have to have a legal reason to justify why you're not choosing that lowest bidder. And then he has opportunity to
Cause
hold up the
sometimes
whole
the bid
entire
be too
process.
low and you don't know what you're doing, the man said. Don't go, okay.
We.
Yes, sir, I'll stop.
I'm just trying to educate you about competitive
Yeah,
negotiations
okay, yes, sir.
law.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's not as simple as everybody sitting up here thinking it is.
So then the $1.7 million, that line is only gonna be spent for
Per the term sheet,
for the homes.
per the term sheet.
What term sheet?
I've given it to you.
You just clarifying that it's the one from the bank, the
From
term
the bank.
sheet from the line of credit. I wanna add this in here as a, feet switcher. When I sat where Ms. Greathouse is sitting, and this project came before this board, there were a number of things that was discussed. We talked about the what we wanted to do with the project. Director Johnson gave us some renderings. We took some nice pictures at the dirt with our shovels and our hats. We did send out the RFP. We did have a review committee. We did not like the results that came from the RFP. Director Johnson came back to the board, expressed that information to us. He gave us an update to let us know nobody bid on the bid. And requested permission and direction from this board to move in a different direction. And if I'm not mistaken, per procurement, we had fulfilled our responsibilities of the procurement process through the RFP. Once we did what we were supposed to do, and it came back, we had a discussion, we were given a suggestion, and as a board at that time, we were in agreement with what was being proposed, which was the employment option of a project manager with specifications to assist in this project, which is where we get this idea that we could accomplish one of those goals, which was to pay down some debt with profit. I wouldn't say that the CRA is naturally in the business of profiting, trying to make money. But with this project, we were intentional about trying to make money because we had taken on debt with the senior center project. Another decision that was agreed upon by this board to enter into that debt with the intention, and we were very intentional in that conversation with that senior center. We were intentional to say, we do want to do this project. It was, I want to say it was Director Matt that was very specific that he did not want to spend $600,000 cash.
No,
He said no. He said no, along with a number of board members that did not want to exhaust our liquid funds, our liquid assets to take on the senior center project. Now, when we had the discussion about the senior center project, we were intentional about identifying ways by which we could offset that debt, being fiduciary responsible parties here. We were intentional about finding ways to offset that debt And one of the ways that we did that was with the purchase, the demolition, and the intention of the plans of the building of these 4 to 6 homes. So I just want us to, I know we talk often about, well, this board already hashed that out, and this board already made a decision, and it's not fair to undo everything that was done before, for the sake of not having all the information or not being fully informed. But I think it is a disservice to the work of the former board, when we backtrack. Everybody up here wanted to turn dirt back in February of 2025. No, I take that back. April of 2025. There was a lot of conversation in the purchase of that property. Then there was a lot of conversation about the demolition of that property. And at the time of the demolition conversation, the intent was, because if I'm not mistaken, it was Director Randolph who had recommended, let's not tear down that house that was there. Let's build 2 on the backside instead of building 4 brand new. That was a recommendation that we had discussed. So I just want to make sure we give some respect and some credit to the former board who had a number of conversations about how we responsibly move forward. We were fulfilling a legal responsibility by putting out that RFP. And when that RFP did not fall through the way that we wanted, we came back as a board. I want to give Executive Director Johnson some credit in saying that he was not rogue in that moment when he went through HR at the direction of this board to find someone that could do the job, that had the certifications and the licensing to do so, for the purpose of profit. I think that we want some clarity, and I respect that because you are now responsible, regardless of what conversations happened in November, April, or February. We are here today in July responsible for the funds that flow through this agency. So I don't want to disrespect that either. But I think in our quest for clarification, we ought to give some respect to the previous board and the vision and the initiative that this board took after 28 years. It was said at the groundbreaking, the only time we turned dirt in this entire process. It was said then in public. We were very transparent. We were very vulnerable, in saying, listen, we've had plenty of opportunity to do something, regardless of why we haven't done anything. We're in a position now where we can do that. And this is how we plan to accomplish it. We didn't just walk in and make decisions and then just walk out. We were intentional, we were strategic, we were specific in what we tried to do. So I do respect the desire of the new board members to just want to be brought up to speed, and then to make the math, and then to make the sense make sense. So I totally understand where we're going with the line of credit, and I know there's been a number of conversations around the line of credit. I want to thank Executive Director Johnson, and this is not a horn tooting. That's not my job. You have responsibilities that are owed to this board. So I'm not here. I give you kudos when I come into your office. I don't normally do this, but I want to say thank you, because where there were questions from the community about debt, where there were questions from the community about funding, you went and you found it. And I supported it. I voted in favor of it a number of times, and I had my reasons for doing so. I did my own homework. I had a conversation with his name is slipping me from Seacoast with the W. With Will Stamper, Mr. Stamper, a number of times, just trying to gain clarity, trying to gain understanding. I took that initiative personally, to do those things, to have those conversations so that I could make an informed decision about the items that are here in front of us. So I want to give space for those questions that are still unanswered, but at the same time, I want to continue carrying forward the dreams of the previous administration, the previous board that sat up here. Those are my comments. Has the motion gone out? We've had a lot of conversation. The motion has not gone out. This discussion, I'm sorry. I do have a question though. And this is just in me giving it a quick glance. Director Vice Chair Thomas, per your proposed resolution, is it your request that I see it says adopting a process for the budgeting of the CIP fund,
Which,
specifically related to the $1.7 million line of credit in the preamble. And then I also see in the, let me find it, in section 3, capital improvement projects requires that the Toecra requires that all CIP expenditures related to the Toecra shall be approved by the board and incorporated into the budget. And there is a slight break in continuity there, and I just want to clarify that you're referencing the line of credit as listed in the preamble and not, because I see it's also referenced in section 4 that specifies the line of credit. So I just want to ensure that that's what we're referencing in section 3 as well. It is right.
It's two things.
Two separate.
So,
Okay, thanks for that. Okay.
the capital improvement projects that it is budgeted, that expenditures are budgeted and approved by the board. The second part of the resolution.
Budgeted where? Budgeted per project, budgeted per line of credit, or budgeted in the Toecra annual budget?
In the annual budget.
Okay.
To this, and then the
Okay.
second part of the resolution, because it's a two-part resolution, the second part is how the $1.7 million is handled. So that's.
Administration.
So if you look at,
Thank
if you look at 3 and the first whereas match, and 4 and the second whereas, if you compare it that.
1 and 3 and 2 and 4. Okay, thank you for that clarity. I just wanted, I skimmed it real fast since I just got it, but I just wanted to make sure I understood it. Okay, those are all the discussion points that I have. I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure.
And just for the record, the capital improvement is budget. It's just an item. We create one fund because we don't want to be locked in.
It's specificity.
Exactly. To give us flexibility, to give the board flexibility to move how they, because one of the things you did not mention, and I appreciate the explanation about it. The original plan was to do one house at a time.
Yeah.
And use our money through the infill loan process.
Yes.
To build one house at a time. Then the board said, hey, is there another way to do this? And then, yes, let's go get a line of credit. I went to TD Bank. They basically shut the door on me. Get out. Won't hear nothing from me. So it put the pressure on me to go out and find another lender. We were already doing business before the loan company. So going to them was kind of odd question until we showed good performance. And once we pay off the senior center, that'll give us our credibility with them as a lender. We have to go back and get money from. It's about building relationships. Florida Community Loan Fund has never lent to a CRA ever. We were the first ones. And it's important that we honor that opportunity the right way. And this project was a way to fast track that and put an asset in the CRA, which is the town's control. That's once it's renovated and completed, it's going from 600,000 to almost 2 million in valuation. That is a huge asset. So there's a business reason why the board made their decisions back then. Also, it was thoroughly explained. Just understanding, so everybody can understand the mechanics. This was just not pulled out of thin air as one might want you to believe. This was a thought out work process, and they voted on everything. Nothing was done individually by the administration of the CRA.
Okay, so the auditor, which you had it audited, and when she came, there was 6 errors in there, 5 or 6 errors. And one was that the capital improvement projects had to be individualized.
That's why you have to see.
So, but you just said that it's in one budget. It can't be in it can be in one budget, but you still gotta break it down. I'm looking this.
Once again, I'm gonna tell you, the CIP is for auditing purposes. It is not a budgetary document. You have to understand, Heather is a certified public accountant auditor for us.
Okay. And there was 6 errors on there, and that was one thing that she mentioned.
She required that, not just in ours. The town got to go back and redo all of theirs too. The same.
The town is a total different entity. We're total independent, so we can only discuss for the Toecra right now.
What I'm trying to explain to you is that format that you have before you right now is the same format the town got to use. That's all I'm trying to show you. That's the format it has to be. They have to account for every capital improvement that they're doing in that same format that's been provided by you.
So we can't talk about the town, we're talking about CRA.
It's not, I'm just
Okay,
referencing.
well, let's just stay within what was requested for the Toecra from.
And everything with the Toecra has been submitted, approved by the county, approved by the state. I'm trying to figure out why we're talking
Sent
about
it to us so that we could see, because there was 6 things on there, and the main one was that capital improvement, because it was in one great big lump sum and it was supposed to be broken down.
And that's why you have the CIP in front of you now, broken down. It is broken down the way she has mandated it to be done. That's why you have it in front of you. The state has some issues, and that even has been cleared up and addressed. The state legislative auditing committee had some questions and issues, and even that has been cleared up and addressed appropriately. I understand what you want to see, and I've thought when you requested the CIP, we were answering that question. Now, you're making reference to something that myself, Ms. Bradshaw, and Heather have fixed for the state purposes of whose matters, that matters more than anything, and the county purposes, which matters more than anything. That is a working document. That's why it said it's confidential and should not be shared, because that is a working document.
What if we table this item until Director Thomas have a meeting with Mr. Johnson? I know you indicated that you want to have a meeting with him. I think that would kind of clear some things up also, if we can table this item, come back to it perhaps, and put it on the next agenda without having a special meeting.
I'll agree with that, so thank you, let's just move on to the next.
Can I ask one question before we move on? And that's just as I understand it, because we're still in discussion and we haven't moved to decision yet, so we can definitely pull this from decision till a later time.
Be one of the best things to do. That's my opinion. It's just a request.
If it is to come back, and Vice Chair, this question is for you. If or when this item does come back for discussion, I'm gonna divert for a second. Director Johnson, you made the comment that that the CIP projects are already included in the budget. Is that correct?
It's lump sum.
It's lump summed into the budget.
And the CIP thing is supposed to break it out individually going forward, so the 25-26 audit is done. We just shoot her over that document and she's able to do whatever testing, whatever she needs to do to complete our audit going forward.
So, Vice Chair's request is that the expenditures be approved by the board, and then, right, which we would do per project, correct? Okay, so
Let y'all can get together, let's just move on so we can go.
one more before we go. If it's already in the budget, is it your understanding that the auditor is asking that in our annual budget, it is line itemed in detail? Like, I'm missing something here.
Well, go back and listen to the meeting she had, because I know she said that the money was grouped together as one, and it was
Right.
not supposed to be done that way.
So, okay, I'll go back and listen, because I'm not sure if I'm understanding what the request is. Is the request to take each project and line item each project in the budget, or is the request to take the number of projects? If we have 6 projects going on, project 1, 25,000, project 2, 26,000, project 3, 27,000, is that like, what am I missing?
It should
Okay.
see more $25 because that's what he said in your report.
Okay, if there are no other comments or questions, we are ready for item number 1, which is, I'm sorry, y'all, intrusive thought, forgive me.
She has a question.
Yes, ma'am, Director Randall.
For this, there's no number.
It has not been indexed yet. It came as a walk-on, and so we have not yet indexed it.
Okay, all right.
But before it is submitted for a decision, we will fill that blank in. And we can do that based off what has already been approved. The records coordinator should have that. So before we would approve that, Director, we would make sure that we filled that in.
So can we make sure that this is on the next meeting?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We already have our marching orders It has been requested that it's been added to the next meeting for decision.
Correct.
We're having the discussion now,
And
so
that's
for
the board
decision.
that- that's-
Any opposition from the board? Being none, we have our marching orders. We are now ready to discuss the approval of resolution CRA-R 2026-29, the approval of the March 2026 financials. I do want to add for clarity that we have had these in our possession. The clerk's office does a really good job of making sure that every time an item comes back for discussion, that the supporting documents are provided as well. The most recent time that you would have had this in front of you would have been the June 18th meeting. So just for clarity, you should have had an opportunity to review these financials and to ask questions. But we are ready for the preamble, Ms. Bellinger.
Resolution CRA-R 2026 29, resolution of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency approving the March 2026 finances by conflict severability.
You have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
Second.
It has been moved in second. All in favor of the approval? Oh, was there questions? I'm sorry. I went kind of fast there. It has been moved in second.
Nobody asked any
Okay,
questions,
no
so I think you
questions?
should.
Yes, sir.
Right into the.
All right. It has been moved in second. All in favor of the approval of this resolution, please signify with aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. We are now ready for the approval of CRA-R 2026-30. The approving of the April 2026 financials. Ms. Bellinger, the preamble.
Resolution of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency approving the April 2026 financials by conflict severability.
You have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
No move with question.
It has been moved and second with questions, Director Matt.
Just for clarity, I heard, the resident, state that we're just getting this off the cuff. That's untrue. Just for the indication of this, particular item. And you just clarified it also, we've been had, this information. So I don't know where that information come from. And I just want to state that for the record. While won't be any notion that that was true, that was stated up here on this podium. Just for clarity.
I'd like to add a comment to that as well. Do you have any? No? Okay. I hope no one takes this the wrong way, but the FRA recommends, that is the Florida Redevelopment Association, that we let the experts be the experts. And so, Director Johnson, we heavily depend on you and your staff to ensure that we have factual information where we do not have expertise or experience. That is all. It has been moved in second. All in favor, please signify with aye. Aye. All opposed? Nay. The ayes have it. We are now ready for the approval of resolution CRA-R 2026-31. Approval of the May 2026 financials. Ms. Bellinger, the preamble.
Resolution of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency approving the May 2026 financials by conflict severability.
You have heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
Second.
It has been moved in second. All in favor, please signify with aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Being that there are no additional items for board decision, we are now ready for staff reports. Bellinger, would you like to go first? Thank you very much. Attorney Jackson.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just real quickly, I was just sitting there thinking, board member Jordan kind of caught me off guard. He asked me about the, I had some information, related to the RFP. If you recall, I consider us to still be in an active RFP process, and the appropriate forum to have a conversation about questions as the RFP. So that's why, if you didn't get an email, y'all probably weren't thinking it either, because it kind of caught us off guard enough. It's because we're in a process, and this is the appropriate forum to discuss any issues with the RFP. So, I don't want you to think that you've been slighted, anything like that. I can't speak for Mr. Johnson, I speak for have a great deal of respect for you, and I wouldn't want to feel that way. Also, I've been asked to give a presentation to the town council that I want this board to be made aware of as it relates to the property tax amendment. I'm gonna be doing that on next Tuesday, but the impact of that presentation is gonna have some impact on this board. If you don't know, well, Amendment 3 is already in place. But if this property tax amendment passes, approximately $1 billion revenue is going to be lost by the town in the first year. And that's going to affect this board in some form or fashion. I did hear that, right now that the board, the way the money's being done, that they have to rely on grants and loans and different things like that. Get ready for it, because that's what's going to happen anyways. That's what they're already preparing municipalities and agencies for, is that you're gonna have to go after grants and different things like that in order to support yourself if the thing passes. So I just want, if the board members, are able to come to that council meeting just to get an idea, I'm gonna be talking about that at the next meeting. Or if this board would like to hear, the same reiteration here, I'm more than happy to do it. I just don't know before you with it, unless it's something that you all really should be in that's
Thank you, Attorney Jackson. Director Johnson.
Okay, first thing, just want to let the board know that tomorrow will be Mrs. Jones's last day with us. She submitted her resignation for July 3rd. Tomorrow's her last day. Not sure what time she's gonna be here. We're still trying to figure that out, Chanel. To pay her homage for her service, because she did an excellent for us and for this agency. In building relationships, she's excellent at doing her service. And I had this conversation with Brett. There's nothing we can do about it. You can't stop people from trying to pursue their professional agenda. So, very supportive of her, very encouraging of her. So that's the first thing. If she tells me the time and enough time, you'll get an email inviting you to come say whatever words during the time period that she said. But she hasn't given us the time, what time she's coming. So I'll make sure that you know. I know I had this discussion with the chair yesterday about the tourist development tax issue. We did submit our interest of indicator documentation today, and it's for the Eville Heritage Tourism District, which entailed all those projects that I showed you in the PowerPoint. It's all put together and being reimagined as the Eville Tourism District. Tourist District. It also has a value up to $30 million of the request, because you can't request something less than 20 million. So I took in the municipal parking, the stormwater things, that all those things are packaged into this one little corridor. And I actually just found out about it the day I asked her yesterday. So we were able to get something done and get it turned in. Where it's gonna end up, I don't know. We do have another equal rights grant that is due, and I'm just waiting on a signature. And once I get that signature from the chair and mayor, of letter of support, we're gonna be submitting to the Park Service, Federal Park Service organization, to get some money for equal rights. For the same, I don't think we all know history. We listen to the entertainment side of the nightclub since 1948. There's a whole nother history that's tied to civil rights and equal rights that to tell that story. So, and we have that application ready to go. We just have to have a document, and then it's gonna go out. It's due on the 21st, but we're gonna submit it tomorrow in advance. So we're constantly exploring other funding mechanisms to accomplish what we need. When you guys start to have the discussion about roles and responsibilities, look at the plan so we can keep them consistent, right? That gives me an idea of what your vision is, and I can pull it together. Right now, it's just me because I'm not getting that direction, so I'm just being honest, I'm not. So I have to go out there and go fishing. And that's what I've been doing for the past 2 years, fishing. And we've been successful at securing funding, but at some point, so we all part of this, and we all know what's going on. The board gives me a clear direction so we can work together to accomplish these things together. Also, with Ms. Jones leaving, I am gonna be making a recommendation of combining, and I talked to you this also, combining the two positions of fiscal coordinator and executive assistant together. Not adding any more money to what our responsibility is. Actually, it's gonna be a pretty much a nice reduction, to be honest with you, with a nice saving. But we're trying to keep the ball rolling. And I gotta have somebody in here full time to help, because it's a lot. It's a lot to do. And I can't do it all by myself. So just so the board can be aware of that. We are gonna change the financials, Ms. Bradshaw told me, because we had to talk to Ms. Gibson, and we understand there's a document that we provide that the town doesn't provide. So we wanna be consistent to what the town's doing. So you won't be receiving the actual bank statement any longer. You'll get the general ledger as Director Thomas has, and thank you for bringing that to our attention, because we never even thought about that. And we're gonna make sure we're all consistent with information, so everybody can, you get your check register, general ledger is one other thing that Katrina told me she provides, but can't remember. But, and we'll make sure everything's consistent, so you're not getting unbalanced information. I know Ms. Bradshaw asked me to make another statement about something. I'm trying to remember what it was.
I'll come back to you.
Okay, please, because I can't remember.
Thank you, Director Thompson. Board Member Willie. All right, Director Grayhouse. Okay, Director Mack.
Again, thank you guys for coming up and engaged in CRA business. I know it don't always look good up here, but I think, in a nutshell, I think we're moving positively, trying to do something constructive in this community, especially being that the town is covered under the entire CRA. And the historic part of it, man, I hear so many different languages and rhetoric about us being dependent in grants and things of that nature. Of course we are. Why not? It's money that you don't have to pay back. Who wouldn't suggest getting a grant or even applying for it if it's free funds that is going to help us? And this is a very unique town. Unionville is a historic, unique town within itself. The history is profoundly rich, and I can't even express how rich it is if you don't know. Growing up in this community, I know how contagious it is to just, have that continuity of just togetherness. This is a close-knit community. We've been surviving for 140 years, despite what people say or said. We got great businesses in here. We got board members that sit up here that have businesses in this town that are very successful. So if we can, by any means, get any resources to get grants, I'm all for it. I'm definitely all for it. I want to see some dirt turned, like Director Williams say all the time. We're standing stagnant right now, but I think I'm optimistic about the future. You know what I'm saying? Not only for us, but for our kids. And I think that's what we need to be related to right there in terms of just doing things that's going to be like-minded. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to agree on everything, and that's okay. That's why we got 7 individuals sitting up here that have different thoughts and mindsets on how creative we can get. And then, like Director said, he can only move at the beat that we give him. If we're not giving him anything to go and do, he got to be creative. That's why he sit up there as the executive director. And by the way, man, thank you just for your professionalism. I know a lot of times it's hard sitting up there taking a lot of things that you take, but I do commend your professionalism. That's why you're sitting in that capacity. I know it's not an easy task. It's not an easy task being an elected official or a board member at times, but I know sometimes you have to turn your head, man, and be the bigger person. And I think you've done that these last 2 years, and I know a lot of other people probably would have crashed out, but you stood the test. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we evaluate, and that's what we want anybody that's in the capacity to do, right? So with that being said, listen, man, let's get some things done, man. I know, we got so much potential in this town, man, and let's get all the funding that we can get. We know we're in the crisis with everything that's coming at us right now. Everything's coming so fast with the taxes and, things of that nature right there, man, and just everything as a whole, man. So I think we need to stand fast and stay together, get more creative, and do the things that we need to do, man, with developing this town, man, to do something for our future. It's important, and that's my report.
Thank you, Director Mack. Director Jordan.
Thank you to residents for coming out today and engaging Attorney Jackson. I do appreciate you clarifying that for me, Executive Director, you as well. And yeah, I too will be coming to your office tomorrow. Hope I catch Ms. Jones too. And also, and I do appreciate the fact that the one thing that I do know that you have been doing, you have been consistently going out and getting this money. Now that I do know about you. So for that, I appreciate your hard work. And thank you for your patience with me just trying to understand the process and just wanna do the best that I can and taking in knowledge just like some OJT on the job training. So thank you all to the board and just for understanding. You understand? So and also, but now I do have a question. The heroes. I saw those, what are those trusses on the property? What's that?
Those are roof trusses.
Roof.
That's what I got to talk about.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, what are these things?
Okay, so in working with the state and our architect team, because that's the team, builder and architect, working with them, we completed the permitting process.
Okay.
The fees have been paid. I'm gonna see the fencing go up Tuesday, I think they said 21st, Tuesday. That's Tuesday. The fencing is gonna go up and you're gonna start seeing a whole lot of construction activity happening real fast. A lot of things are gonna turn real fast. Now we do have, like, we're trying to work ahead, so our draw request to the state has already been submitted. And I learned too, I never knew what a G702 and a G703 was, okay, but I got that all together and we got it submitted, and so we're just waiting for Alexis to give me let me know when it's gonna hit our account, so we can keep this momentum and the construction momentum going to meet our deadline. So we're pushing fast and pushing forward.
Yeah, because I think you told us before that you had to get a roof on that day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
There's
that's one of the I guess first requirements that they were asking for us to do.
Well, just so you know, there's no rebar in that building at all. None. No reinforcement to the concrete other than.
It wasn't built with rebar?
No,
No.
Wow.
no. That flooring, that first room, the club is actually in 3 sections.
Yeah.
That first section, absolutely, nothing in the second section. We're only required to build a shell. And one of the things we're doing is building the shell almost completely, the shell 2 phases. All right, there's a third phase, which is a black box phase, which the black box is your theater for you, all kind of arts, performing arts, and all kind of activities to happen. That's the third phase of the construction. So we have to meet the guidelines of the state grants, trying to get them out of the way while we're pursuing our funding and other opportunities. Now, if we're so lucky to be able to submit, be invited to go to the next step, not trying to compromise you. If we're so lucky to go to the next step of the TDT process, there'll be a full blown out presentation done for the advisory committee, the citizen group, the advisory committee, and the board of county commission. to justify. And like I said, we're asking for $30 million, and it entails streetscape dollars, it entails municipal parking, it entails some acquisition, further acquisition, which we talked about. It entails a whole lot of things, some infrastructure improvements that the town's gonna need for growth, right? So it's a bigger picture, it's $30 million. So, and I'm excited. I'm just like you. When they tell me they on their way to put the fence there, I'm gonna be standing over there watching.
Yeah, let me know.
Like a little kid.
Really excited.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
This is something that started back in 21. 2021.
Yeah, when I got here.
Yeah, so like,
Yeah.
let me know.
Yeah.
Like,
So
for real.
Tuesday, they are gonna be doing the fencing,
Okay.
security fencing, that's all that stuff, and starting the process, so.
That's good.
They've already marked the walls, they have to be demoed and reformatted, because there's absolutely nothing holding that building up, other than you go on the inside. they
For the
have-
sake of our community also, man, I'm glad that we're
The
going in
spirit
this
of B.B.
direction.
King,
Yeah,
James Brown, baby.
yes,
Okay.
that's what's holding it together.
But I do have another question, in terms of, the 1887 night market. What was the final conclusion on that? Is that something that's on the CRA side? I noticed that they did not go to People Street. They were here on the town property.
that was
So,
him compromising, it wasn't nothing we did or nothing.
So it's on the town side?
Yeah, that was
Okay,
done on the town side, and he's moving forward with his August and September.
on the town side,
He's already did everything he needed to do, starting
on the
out.
town side.
I can make some comments in my report about that as well,
Oh,
as a chair. I can
Okay,
make some comments as a chair for you on that.
okay, all right, thank you. And I just want to make sure that the residents know that we do hear you all when you are speaking and your concerns. Hopefully, we do a good job of trying to address what your concerns are, you know, because at the end of the day, we do work for you guys. So thank you. That's part of it.
And also, Chair, without saying, my regards do go to Ms. Jones. She did a terrific job for
Yes,
you as a assistant with anything that you needed, man. I sent my regards to her through email, and I was shocked to get the news, but I know, you gotta definitely encourage people to follow their path and endeavors in life. So to the best luck to her going forward. And that's it, Chair.
Thank you very much. Director Randall?
All right, thank you, Chair. Okay, thank you everyone for coming tonight. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for doing a clarification for things that were brought up before the board members. Really appreciate that. I do want to say that I did attend the TVT meeting downtown, and very interesting. And there are budget cuts also to the CRA agency of Orange County. So my question for that is, since we sunset on Orange County in January, so that means that we will no longer get funds, is that correct?
If we're not
All
extended.
right. Now, one of the interesting things that I want to say, and it is all of the departments had the opportunity to present their budget, what they need and what's going to be their shortfall. It was very interesting. However, one of the things that I was a little disappointed about when I saw information on Spectrum 13, a list of the municipalities that we have here that actually shows their proposed budget and the reduction of the funds on the allocations of what they're going to lose. I did see Eatonville there. And we should have already been able to assess our budget. So I'm just saying it's not to speak and, against the town or anything like that, because it's a CRA. But we just need to go ahead and just move forward and start doing our budget ahead of time. So we don't have to wait until the last minute, because we need to see as a board exactly what it's going to look like for us. Because we still have an obligation, and I'm saying this out of respect for everybody here in our residence. We still have an obligation for Blight. We're getting so far ahead of all these other projects. Okay, other than housing, as it was mentioned, the code enforcement grant that we had, the paint pave. When are we gonna do something to paint someone's house or repair their window? Those are the kind of things that I'm looking for the more hardcore community projects that we have with the money. So we really need to take a really good look at what we have. And I'm glad also, just to mention that, is that the reduction in the staff. And I think this is going to show exactly where we need to be as far as reduction, because you're not going to hire another person. So because we're going to be on a reduced budget anyway, so that right there is a good start. So can you answer my question about it?
Just to give some clarity, we're locked in. We already know by December 31st, we already know we're gonna get 300, what's that? 300,500, right? So we're gonna get that money no matter what. So I don't want everybody to be alarmed. Me and the chair have had discussion about meeting with Orange County, and as soon as Mr. Daniels gets back to get that set up. There's some things that she's brought to my attention, and we're gonna go over there prepared to advocate. So just I understand where we're going. The property tax issue does not in fiscal year 27 affects the CRA at all. It's going forward in 28 and 29 forward, right? How is that gonna look? And those are the discussions I'm hoping we're able to sit down with Orange County and for the CRA purposes. That's I try very hard, and Chair will tell you, I try to communicate with her and Mr. Daniels because I don't want to do something stepping on the bike. I want to make sure we're doing this in unison. Because they ultimately, she's the leader of the town. And I would feel uncomfortable going over there having that conversation. Yes. So did I answer your question?
Yes, I'm not, okay, I'm not finished.
Okay, go ahead.
Answer the question, yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, and where are we with the ADP? Because we talked about that 2 months ago to make it, and then it could not be at a better time for us to have that in place.
I'm gonna yield to the chair because we've had this discussion before you got here, and she'll make sure you get your answer to that.
Okay, all right. And that may be all that I have there. But anyway, I just want to put a little emphasis on, we just need to be very proactive, in this whole process, and don't forget about blight in the town.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Just keep blight on your mind, because we
Yes.
still have people in need of having things done with their home, their driveways and things of that nature.
So one of the reasons, I don't know if you remember in 2025, we did a housing resource fair. And we brought all these service providers out. So they're getting direct contact with the people who are making the decisions. Now, one thing we cannot do, and I know me and you had this discussion, I can't make somebody turn in a bank statement. I can't make people do. We try to set up in the conference room, different programs, whether it's Rebuild, whether it's Orange County, and we try to assist them in gathering their stuff. But I hear the voices of some, but there's a lot of people, I can show you a list where people just have not turned in their stuff. But some of those folks are the people that's complaining the most. I get those phone calls every day. When I'm riding around it, because I ride the community every day, I hear people voice things that are not in our control. And then when you go look on the list and you find out, well, they ain't turning all their stuff, right? They're not doing the things they're supposed to do. We try to be an intermediary to that as much as we can, but let's not spend our time duplicating things that other community resources are already doing. Our problem is getting our people active and activating, getting through the process. Because that apathy sets in, and the minute they don't get what they need right then, it becomes a problem. But there's processes to everything. Nothing's done overnight. And people have to understand, this is government. Government don't move at our will and need. Government moves at its own pace. And we have to make sure we're doing the things we can to assist that, to move it along as fast as we can. But I do want to go back and address the paint, pave, and plant thing.
Please.
First of all, board members, keep in mind, if it ain't in your plan, you can't do it. And ain't nothing in our plan talks about no paint, pave, and plant. Nothing. Now, I know the previous director implemented that, but it was totally wrong. And I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Well, where did that come from? Cause
She was operating off.
She was using somebody else's thing.
There was a 2015 plan that was proposed.
Right.
And it was approved by the town, but not by the county.
Exactly.
And so because it was not approved by the taxing authority, it was not adopted. So we are still operating under the 1997 plan, as antiquated and outdated as it is, until we get an approval for the plan that Mr. Johnson worked on when he first came back. He
Not
did
just me, all the staff.
Yeah,
and
Mr.
the
Johnson and the staff worked pretty well together to redo that plan. As a matter of fact, under Director Rose, we were prepared to spend $50,000 with an organization to redo that plan for us. Mr. Johnson came in, Mr. Johnson said, I can get this done. He did. It is just waiting approval. And there have been a number of things over the last 2 years at the state level that have kind of intervened and delayed us from getting that done. So even as we're staring down the barrel of sunset, we're prepared to move forward. We're waiting on the taxing authority.
So my response to the resident would be what? We're still waiting on the taxing authority
And the state,
and the state to give us that approval.
last year we were facing the elimination of CRAs completely.
Complete.
Yeah.
You only can implement what's in your plan. If it's not in your plan, you
Okay.
can't fudge the language. You
Okay,
can't
yeah,
stretch
'cause
it.
I know I spoke
Right.
to you about a resident before, and
And I
I
had
don't think I
that,
was able to.
I had
give a
that
real-
conversation with
You did?
enforcement. And I asked them to live about it. I don't care what the code enforcement issue is.
Okay,
To access the code compliant, right? That is where it starts.
okay,
You have to have a written complaint, right? Once you get that, then you're able to take advantage of the program. Cause know what code enforcement job is? It's to eliminate slum and block.
oh, I see what you're saying,
Why it used to be up underneath us.
okay.
No, it's great, because I know you might have a question. I pointed out to the former executive director that she was using the wrong plan. So I did make her aware of that and
You don't make Graham. Still love you.
I'm sorry, Director Ring. Were you done, Director Johnson, so we can go back?
I got,
Please, go ahead.
2 more, okay, and I'll be done. Something we need to do a better communication with our residents, because we have people who go to the county and they're able to get their answers or to get an application and things of that nature. But on the town side, I think what the problem has been is that we don't have enough people to address the issues with our residents. And we got to find a way that we can get back to them, because people will say, I tried to call this number, I didn't get a hold of anybody. I'm waiting for a return phone call. I can't seem to get anybody. I put who did, I don't hear back. So I think that may be the breakdown between our agency and the community. So, so we just need to find a better way that we can get back to them and get them the answers they need, because they do go to the county. I've had 2-3 people, in fact, Mr. Evans on my street, they've gone to the county now.
Yeah, I actually told someone to.
Yeah, so
That's where he needs to get the service.
so we were able to bridge that conversation. I was on the line with him and his daughter and the representative to try to get him going, because he is desperately in need of help.
But the part, I'll have that
Come from the
conversation.
house.
I have the conversation. It's not the county. It's not his daughter. It's him and what he's willing to disclose.
I understand, but I'm just using that as an example, okay? Otherwise, I think that's basically all I have right now, and, okay, we just continue to do the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Randolph. Vice Chair Thomas.
Mr. Johnson, just if you could answer the questions that I had sent you as, so with the Chitlin Circuit grant, it was extended. Cause when did it expire on the 30th?
30. No, I signed the last extension was authorized by me.
Okay.
I forgot what day it was, but that's where that drop dead date came from. After I signed that extension. And that's when I was informed. I think I shared that email with everybody, about that. So there's no more extensions to be had. Just, it's not the state saying, I'm tired of you. I don't want nobody to take it that way. The federal government says this is the drop dead date. When it has to be closed out. That was a federal grant. That was not money that was initiated by the state.
So we're gonna get the full, what, 1 million to complete?
That's why we're trying to speed this construction process, because there's a lot, in the reporting, like, I gotta turn in a report tomorrow.
Do we have to put in money, that 250, do we have to put that up front?
Me and the chair had this discussion, and we're having a discussion with the state about that also.
And then do we get the 150 to finish purchasing the club?
Once we finish the line parade, we'll be fine. And that is gonna happen either Friday or tomorrow or next Wednesday. By next Wednesday. They told me next Wednesday to drop it.
So you said once we finish the line parade?
If when you come to my office, I'll show it to you, because I don't want to disclose nothing that's in the terms.
That's it, because I was gonna ask about the RFP, but you already answered that one, so I do have one question. Is there ETA as when it may be ready and when it might go out? Or that's gonna come back to us?
I'm gonna talk to the architect engineer tomorrow. When he stamps it, it was the numbers were messed up, and you don't want people bidding on something that's not accurate.
So then how do we go about changing the dates? Remember, we had changed the dates.
So what you told the CAO is that, the date that it goes out, that's when you start that.
Okay.
You gave us some window, so it's not effective.
Okay.
So we're still.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I'm sorry, y'all. I got a few things on here. I'll try to speed through them. There was a public comment about making available documents that are provided to the board. I have spoken with the town clerk regarding the availability and the accessibility of those documents. As a statutory officer, I was informed that there is not a legal requirement to make things available online, and that it is done as a courtesy. So I'm continuing that conversation out of transparency to make sure that those documents that are available to the board for the meetings are also available to the residents, which complements my request to the board that when items are due to the clerk or to the records coordinator, that they are submitted. And that's not just for the board, that's also for the residents. I know that things pop up on us sometimes after we get our packets. And I would just ask that if it's not something that would keep the agency from running, let's save it to the next meeting instead of making rush decisions or not being able to have those documents accessible to the public. So even though it's not a legal requirement, we are working on making sure that that information is accessible at a reasonable time for the residents to view as well. That way, if you do have public comment about anything that is in our packets, you have the opportunity to address it when you do your citizen participation. So heard again and noted, please bear with us while we make those adjustments. They seem simple, but we want to make sure that we do it efficiently. I also heard from the audience today, as well as watching the Board of County Commissioners meetings and watching legislative sessions about the impact on TIF funds. If you take a look at the 1997 plan, there are a number of charts in there that detail how much we would receive every year fiscally in TIF funds. And so as we're having these conversations about the effects of property taxes and the values that the TIF funds are calculated based off of, we do see where that impact does affect us. I'm not a comptroller, I'm not a CPA, finance is not my cup of tea. I depend heavily on the experts when it comes to what those numbers look like. And so I want to express to this board that I don't have anything to report to you because I don't have all my information yet. I do have some preliminary information that has been provided by the finance director of the town. And before I give you incomplete or incorrect information to fester over, I want to make sure that you have something legitimate. That way we can all make informed decisions. So I have been communicating with the town's finance director to see if there is some preliminary information that can be passed out that is supported, so that we can kind of have an idea of what's going on. But we do encourage the two board members that are not elected officials to come and check out the presentation from Attorney Jackson. It is 350, 500. There's 230 and 250 that comes from the taxing authority of Orange County, and then 120 and 250 that has been coming from the town. Just so we kind of have an idea of what numbers we're playing with on an annual basis. So you can take a look at your financials as well as your annual budget to kind of support that number. Let me skip on down. The county programs versus the Toecra versus the CIP of the town. So of course, we know if it's not in the plan, you can't do it. We know that we're working with an antiquated plan. I would encourage, I was digging for it, but I could not find the meeting where we approved the last draft of the plan. So if you have that, if you could spread that to the board, so we kind of know what.
The one approved by the council?
No, the one that, the most recent one, right, I'm sorry, you said council, not commissioners. But if we can get that to the board members, so they kind of know what we're visioning, right? We know if you have access to the 1997 plan per the CRA website, it is under documents, if I'm not mistaken. It's about 40 pages long, to kind of take a look at what we're operating under. But if you take a look even at the 2015 plan, which you can get from Executive Director Johnson, or if you're a longstanding board member, you should have in your emails from Director Rose. You will see kind of what vision we're taking, what pathway we're taking. And then I would just ask that we take a look at the 2024-25 plan that we put together, and we're just waiting on approval. That being said, and I want to backtrack to that too, but that being said, there are a number of programs that the Toecra has envisioned taking on per some of these plans that are not in compliance with the 1997 plan. And there are a number of alternatives that we have been offering to residents because those programs may or may not line up with our plan. So sometimes we won't, I don't want to use the term waste, but we won't allocate funds to a certain program because there's a resource elsewhere. So instead of spending, our $5 on this gas, if Wawa is giving out free gas, I'm sending Wawa. I'm gonna spend somebody else's money before I spend our own. That is me. But just for the sake of clarity, we did come back when Director Johnson came back, who took a look at some of the initiatives that we took under Director Rose, who said, hey guys, this isn't exactly in line with what we're operating under. We need to readjust, we need to pivot. As a result, we lost some programs, we gained some programs, one of which is the code compliance program that has some requirements before funds can be expended. We also took into account some conversation about there was a matching portion in some of those programs that we had that did not work for our community. And so we took those things into account when we redid those programs. So I encourage you to go take a look at what's in there. Take a look at your budget, take a look at your financials to see where those lines are, and then encourage and educate our residents on what is actually available to them and the expectations of those programs as well. Furthermore, just going back to the CIP of the town, the CRA is supposed to complement the CIP. We are not, if the town is doing sidewalks, the CRA is not doing sidewalks. And that is FRA, if I'm not mistaken, that dictates that. So if we want to be intentional and strategic about the kind of programs that we bring into place, I would encourage us to look at the town CIP to see what they have going on, and let's get in where we fit in, or let's complement that or enhance or advance that is how FRA encourages us to act as directors.
And it has to have been under the CIP
For 3 years, absolutely. So if sidewalks was in there this year, Better wait till 2029 before you want to bring it back. Let me skip on down. That being said, the objectives that Director Johnson has on multiple occasions asked us for. When he first asked us about those objectives, I didn't know what to say to you. I didn't know what to do. I knew when I came in, we were playing cleanup. A whole lot of cleanup. So we were more focused on cleaning house than we were the outside. And there is no excuse for that. That's just the reality of where we were. Now that we're in a more flexible place, we do want to take some initiative to get those objectives out, to set those expectations. And if you are like I was in 2022, trying to figure out what exactly the CRA should be doing, I invite you to check out the FRA website. There's a plethora of programs, there's a plethora of initiatives, there's a plethora of award pictures on there for things that other CRAs have done, and we're trying to get on that gallery, okay? For those who went to the conference, we made a commitment that we wanted to be in the photo gallery of awards and projects completed.
They have not
I saw
made a decision.
I saw it. Check those emails.
I did submit.
Please check those emails. So we and I'm not saying that we want to do projects just because we want to take pictures, but it's an amazing thing when you go to these FRA conferences and you hear about some of the success stories in some of these other municipalities and districts. And it's encouraging, it is motivating to see, okay, well, somebody built a food hall.
Yes.
Somebody did this, somebody did that. Maybe we can add this in our plan. Maybe we can add this program. So if you're looking for things to bring to the executive director, check out the FRA website. It's a ton of resources on there for you guys. And you can call down there, you can call to the other CRAs. They are always glad to share. I've met so many people at these conferences and trainings. And whenever I call and say, well, how y'all did this? And they'll tell me, hey, listen, we implemented this, we partnered with them, and we were able to accomplish A, B, C, and D. So I encourage us to do that as well. Miss Jones. I tried to send that email back to sender. I tried to return to sender. Didn't work. Definitely a loss to this agency. Definitely an asset to this agency. I have not met anybody like Miss Shaquila Jones. The initiative, the vision, the workhorse that she is unmatched. I've never seen an employee excited to go get training that was intended for directors, but open to staff. I mean, we attended the Main Street training together. And then every time I come to town hall, she driving back in the CRA truck coming from another training. Her, Ms. Henson, Ms. Bradshaw, they have done an amazing job in taking initiative. And I also want to give more kudos. I don't usually do this. I want to give more kudos to Director Johnson because I've never had somebody encourage me to go figure it out for myself, meaning to go get the training, not figure it out for myself, but go take the training. They will tell you what you need. Don't take my word for it. The FRA said A, B, C, and D. So thank you to Ms. Jones for the contribution to the town of Eatonville CRA. You will be sorely missed. I also want to love on her a little bit more. I know she lost somebody very important to her, and I'll let her tell y'all about it. But my condolences go out to Ms. Jones in her loss. You are in my thoughts and my prayers, and my petition to come on back. Budget. So again, with the tax stuff coming up, definitely want to be in the forefront. Definitely want to be proactive, not reactive. That being said, the budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year was approved in September of 2025 in time for the audit. It is resolution 2025-39. You should be able to, if you don't already have a copy, you should be able to go either online to the clerk's office or to Mr. Johnson to get a copy of that annual budget, just to kind of see what we did this year. And I'm saying that now because we know that budget workshops on the town side are coming up. We know that those budgets are submitted simultaneously. So please be prepared to sit in on those workshops, have those ideas ready to discuss. I want to say budget workshops are scheduled to start next month. So be on the lookout for those. I'm gonna, with workshops being on the top of my tongue right now, again, like I mentioned earlier, because the bylaws is an extensive conversation that should be had in a discussion forum, I want to encourage you all to make yourselves available over the next few months for a workshop before the CRA meetings, if possible. Again, we started the discussion tonight, and there were a number of you guys that came in when you could. And I want to ensure that your voice is heard as we are constructing these bylaws, reviewing, amending, all of that. So if you don't have a copy of the bylaws, it should have been provided in tonight's workshop packet. Those are also on the CRA website. Please take a look at those. I know historically we've done it where we've looked at 40 copies at one time. I think the recommendation earlier this year was to look at 2025, go through each section, see what we like, what we don't like, maybe reference another set of bylaws where we remove something or where we add something to bring those recommendations to the table. So please keep that at the top of your list of things to discuss and things to review in your off time so that we can have a seamless and efficient and effective bylaw conversation. Director Randolph, you asked about ADP. That was a part of that portion that we chunked out today. Director Johnson did inform us that he has received a quote from ADP that might prove to be efficient and might prove to be beneficial to the agency as we think about our separation from the town, as we think about who's paying who and what money is being spent where and what services we're getting or what services we no longer need. So I will allow him to inform you and bring you up to speed. We are going to revisit that section, so we can always discuss that again, and I'm sure we'll have an update by then. But just to answer your question, he has done some due diligence to bring us something beneficial for the agency in that capacity. Two more. I already did workshops. The 1887 night market, they did, there were some administrative roadblocks that needed to be addressed before we can move forward in collaboration with the CRA. They were discussed, and administration did make an offer and an alternative to bring them back to town hall for the sake of the July market. Just to be transparent, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Director Johnson. I did talk briefly to Attorney Jackson. Mr. Johnson and Ms. Brown Williams did reach out to further that conversation to see if there is a working path. And so the next step would be to bring in the parallels on the town and the CRA side to have a sit down, see what that relationship looks like, see how we can move forward. Of course, before that happens, any MOUs, any agreements will come back before this board. I want to be very clear about that. Nothing will happen without this board's blessing. As a part of that conversation, you can bet your bottom dollar that they will be talking to residents as well, out of respect for our responsibility and out of respect for our constituents. So I'm excited about what those conversations will yield. I know they are planning for their August market. If I'm not mistaken, it will be on town property. Mr. Johnson, Ms. Nia Brown, do not fuss at me if I misstated that, but to my knowledge, as it stands right now, they are moving forward as they have done before. If you missed what would have been their pilot, we had a good time in the rain. I'll just say that. I went and got my lemonade, because one thing I'm gonna do is go to the market. And so I'm excited to see what that looks like. That we heard their presentation and we saw how they tied what they're offering and their services to the need and the objectives of the plan. And so it does look to be something that fits in line with everything. And so I can imagine that they will come back before this board before we move forward in any capacity. So be on the lookout for that. Last but not least, and I might be speaking soon, but I'm really excited about it. The CRA was invited to a conversation about some aesthetics in the town. We had a conversation with Fast Signs about some potential updates to the markers, to the historic markers that are in the town. If you didn't know, the CRA was responsible for that. The markers that are a part of that walking tour that we have available to visitors. Some of those, that was 2015 when those markers were put out there. So even though 10 years seems like a small period of time, when you talk about this Florida heat, and when you talk about materials, Those things are not meant to last forever. So we are having conversations about revamping those. Those conversations are being had in correlation with the town, to bring some life back to the historic respect that we deserve. So I'm really excited about that. I plan to bring more information to you. If you have recommendations, send them over to Director Johnson, see if we can incorporate the ideas and the visions of this board into what that would look like if the CRA ends up taking that on as a project. I am very sensitive about the one that's nearest to my house. I live near the old cemetery. And the old cemetery marker gives a shout out to my Uncle Joe, and it's not legible. You can't read it. Some of them are in better condition than others, but the opportunity to bring those back to life and to just put some juice into the historic nature of the town is something I'm really excited about. I can't wait to see what they have to offer and to bring that back before you guys, to have y'all be a part of that conversation. That being said, Director Johnson and I did have a conversation about an application to the TDT task force. And if you look at what the TDT does, they take tourism tax dollars. There's a 6% bed tax that the county assesses our tourist industry, and they pull that money and they share it with the lot to enhance and encourage tourism. Orlando is second to, I think, only Vegas in hotels, hotel rooms. We know we have the best attractions in the nation, the town of Eatonville being one of them.
Absolutely.
And so pouring some money into the town of Eatonville very closely aligns with the 1997 CRA plan. And so I'm excited to see what happens. And then finally, like I said, as it relates to the CRA plan, it is not just slum and blight that we address. There's a number of things that we are responsible for. And of course, it disappeared when I was going to bring it up, pull my receipts. But there are a number of things. There it goes. If you go and check out that 1997 plan, there are a number of goals that are in that plan. If I'm not mistaken, sense of place is one of them. That talks specifically and very directly to those TDT tax dollars. So in addition to addressing slum and blight, I believe economic development is one of those goals. And so we should be very creative in what we come up with programming, not just painting and roofs and trees and curbs and sidewalks, but incubators and rehabilitation of venues, and creating sense of place. That being said, that is my report. I move for adjournment. It has been moved and second. All in favor of adjourning, please signify with aye. Aye. All opposed? It is 8:37 and we are adjourned.
Y'all,
Good job, y'all.